Chose promise, chose due, hein, le conseiller d'Ottawa, Rockcliffe, donc Rawlson King est en ma compagnie, donc vous le pouvez donc le voir à l'écran et que il s'est voilà. Donc Rawlson King, how are you?
Good. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, very nice to have you on the studio here, the studio with us. Wilson, you were elected I can say a few weeks ago. Right?
A few months ago.
Yeah, a few months ago now, yeah. But very recent. And
yes.
You were elected as the first black councillor in the city of Ottawa. Tell us what was your first reaction or the first feeling when you were sure that you won the election?
Well, it was a lot of gratification. It was a lot of gratification because there was a lot of hard work that was undertaken in the campaign to actually win. The gratification came because we ran a campaign on strong ideas. A lot of those ideas revolved around really taking moral leadership around being socially conscious. So the idea of advancing, ideas around poverty reduction, around improving public safety, around improving community relationships with our police service were really key because there has been a lot of dialogue in the city around things that are important, such as transportation and LRT and things like that. But I think that we had been lacking a serious discussion about major issues that affect communities, that affect neighborhoods, especially marginalized neighborhoods, and that affect racialized people, black communities within the city. So I thought it was important to actually advance a social agenda. We did that and we were successful. So yes. I was quite gratified.
Wow, I can notice that your scale, the victory was very large. It wasn't like a slight winning. You won with a very large. That means I can say for the population of Rideau Rockcliffe, all the people, the different communities living there, white people, yellow people, and black people, a lot of people from those communities vote for you. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, one of the things that I'm proud of is that I was representing Overbrook, as you had set up before I came on the set. And Overbrook is unfortunately one of the lowest income, high needs communities in Ottawa. And we won the poll there, but we also have a section of our ward, Rockcliffe Park, which is one of the most expensive places to live in Canada, one of the most wealthiest neighborhoods, and we also won the polls there. So the message, and we didn't change our message, we just said we wanted to improve the quality of the life of the city, quality of the life of residents, and that was very important to the campaign. So we took that message both into lower income neighborhoods and higher income neighborhoods, and we prevailed. So I think that says a lot, that our message was very clear, that we wanted to improve the quality of life for all the people in Rideau Rockcliffe.
Wow, that's wonderful. But now I can say you the other side of the border. Like that means that you have to deliver
That's right.
Your new position, and you have to work for that efficiently in the city and with with your co-worker there. And how do you find your first step in the city and the way that you're working with your team, with your co-worker there? What is the atmosphere? How do you think that you can do what you expected to do? What is your first feeling?
Yeah, well, the key is working collaboratively. When I was the president of the community association, I was trying to bring people together. I think that should be the same goal that we have at City Council. I mean, I sit behind a granite statue in City Hall that is actually dedicated to the idea of everybody coming together. So there's this big granite sculpture behind us. And the idea of the sculpture is bringing together all the cities, because the cities, 11 municipalities had amalgamated. And the idea is, you reflect and you want to work together. You're not always going to agree, but you want to work with one another. And one of the key things that I want to do, especially to benefit the Black communities, is to ensure that we establish an anti-racism secretariat. Unfortunately, when I came in, we know that there was a racial incident. Graffiti was sprayed on the wall of a Congolese family. It was very disturbing, and it was really demonstrated in a certain way the challenges in the city. And so we want to see a policy unit that is established that really focuses on ensuring that the Black communities have greater representation, especially around employment equity at the City of Ottawa. We want a secretariat that does focus on ensuring that there is greater representation on agencies and boards of the city. And we want to break down systemic barriers that really inhibit the growth of the Black communities, especially their participation in civic life. And we also want to focus on economic development. So you were talking about what I'm going to try to deliver. I'm going to try and see, at least in the first budget cycle, whether we can actually have this anti-racism secretariat that will hopefully improve the quality of life of racialized people in the city, especially the Black communities. That's why I'm going to work collaboratively with my colleagues to see if we can deliver that, because it can't just be me alone. I've got to work with my colleagues in order to get things done.
Sure. And you came in at the City of Ottawa in a special time, I guess, in the history, because we are in the middle of the UN decade for the African descent people, right?
That's right.
And he put a kind of light about improving the condition of living of the Black people.
Absolutely.
That means it's something that he energized naturally the people. How do you think that you can take advantage of that to make the thing happen really?
Well, I think it's energized communities. So the reality is, to be a good elected official, you really have to be representing your community. And so there's a lot of input from the different Black communities in Ottawa that I am listening to. I'm trying to engage the Black communities through an equity liaison that I have in my office. So Sophia Jacob is working hard to liaise with different groups. Those groups have been active in promoting the decade and promoting the fact that we really want to see meaningful results. We don't want simply an accord that was signed at the UN and there is no movement, there's no social improvement. We want to see improvements. I think that's what that's about. So the community has been very active. They've been really kind of gravitating around the decade as a mechanism for us to move forward. I'm listening to that as an elected official and trying to figure out ways that we can make that into real results. And I think the first way, like I was describing, is a secretariat. A secretariat is very important.
Right. And but you talk about the economic side of things, about the way of living of Black people. And recently you were at the AGM of CCMUF, Coopérative Communautaire Multiservice, l'Union fait la force. The goal over there is really to build infrastructure and a local for Black people and Black services and residential, etc. It's a big project.
Yeah.
And you were there at the AGM and you spoke with the people. And what is for you, what you can tell about the way that the kind of initiative can succeed, and what help you really can do to support the type of initiative to be successful?
Well, I think the key is economic development. I think that the key for our communities to do better is being able to produce more wealth. So I think that your organization is doing a wonderful service, because it's necessary for us to really emphasize to everybody in the community, especially our youth, that we have to be active in terms of economic development, in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of building a base of financial stability so that we can move forward as a community. So that's why I was very excited to attend that event, to be invited to that event, and to say a few words, and also to meet His Excellency the Ambassador to the Republic of Haiti. That was a high honor, and it's wonderful that you have such distinguished people sitting around the table sharing ideas on how to actually really build economic wealth for the community, especially when we think of a community that is indeed a minority within a minority. We have a black community and a francophone community, and so there's a double disadvantage there. And my feeling is that we should be building advantages and strengthening our communities so that we can give, especially our children, our youth, greater opportunities. So that's why I'm always gratified when the black communities come out and say, you know what, we're going to figure out ways to invest in our communities and to build business. And I think that the initiative to actually have a central resource, a building, a substantive home, is an important objective. And so, I've already had discussions with the organization in terms of the resources that the city might be able to bring to bear. We're going to examine what can be done. Of course, there's always limitations with the resources at a city. Often the more resources are available through higher senior levels of government, more money is typically available. But that doesn't mean that you can't get substantive support from the municipality and moral support from your elected official who wants to see our communities grow stronger and stronger. So I was very gratified to be invited, very honored, and I quite enjoyed it.
And just to make a little joke about it, a funny part of that, you committed in front of the people there that you would learn French, and the next time you would speak in French, partially.
Yeah.
Remind you that.
Well, I didn't want to make too many promises because I literally only started my French training in the last week or so, last 2 weeks. But obviously we have a sizable francophone minority in our ward. Of course, I want to learn French and to be able to deliver some statements in French. But I think the key thing too is the policies. I can always go and learn French. It doesn't mean that I will always be driving forth with the best policies. And what I'm dedicated to is ensuring that there are strong policies, especially noting that there has been a change and we're going into a year of change at Queen's Park with a government that has a tendency to cut francophone services. So being a member of a minority as well, I understand that we want to protect our cultural institutions. We want to protect economic development initiatives, and we want to ensure that programming is delivered in French. So I know my spirit probably exceeds my proficiency in French, but my spirit to actually defend the francophone fact in the city, no matter what its guise, so not just what you would typically think of as the Franco-Ontarian community, the traditional historical one, but also new immigrants, other communities, other immigrant communities. We want to ensure that they have those good services in their language, of choice, a constitutionally protected language in a bilingual city. So I am dedicated to that, and of course, my French language skills will follow later, but I will definitely work on them. But know that you do have an ally in my office that I do want to ensure that we protect the Francophone fact and French cultural institutions in our city.
All right. And I think that we're going to have a break now. And what we're going to be watching during that break is there was a dance. There was a dance in front of the hill, the Parliament Hill. It was in June. And I think it was a group from Haiti called Haitinago. Let's have a look, a few of a little part of it, and then we'll come back with the counselor. Mesdames et messieurs, donc vous êtes toujours à Diversité Plus et nous sommes dans les locaux de notre producteur Radio Télé Shining et nous recevons pour vous le conseiller de la ville d'Ottawa et qui est monsieur pour le quartier de Widow Cliff, mais qui s'occupe de toute la ville quand même, monsieur Rawlson King qui est avec nous. L'entrevue se fait en anglais parce que pour le moment il est unilingue anglophone, mais il nous a promis d'apprendre le français et de supporter les initiatives francophones ici dans la région. Donc Rawlson, we just saw that dance that was a parade, a part of a parade that happened this summer in Ottawa downtown.
Yes.
During the Carry Vibe. This group Haiti Nago come from Haiti and they live here, and that's the kind of talent and culture we want to promote here in Ottawa, especially in CCMUF, cooperative community we talk about that. Beside the economic side, but you have that side about developing the talent, culture, and the potential of a population community coming from different countries, especially from the Caribbean and Africa.
Yes.
That's what we have. And you told me during the break we were watching there that you were there during that parade. You were there, actually in the front of the parade.
It was a wonderful, wow. I mean, I had the honor of leading the parade. Which was a high honor for me since I have Caribbean roots. My parents come from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and my father actually originally came from Aruba and then immigrated to St. Vincent and the Grenadines and then eventually came to Canada in the 60s. So I found it very gratifying and a high honor to have actually been invited to march in the parade. And it was a wonderful experience, and I think that the team at Caravibe worked very hard to really demonstrate the cultural vibrancy of the Caribbean here in the nation's capital.
Wow. And we said that the kind of Canada we are trying to build, to contribute to build here a Canada of diversity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and of inclusion.
That's right.
And I think that made Canada great as that it is now. It's a great country now, but it can be better, right?
Absolutely.
Working for that.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're coming to an end of that interview with Councillor King. Councillor King, have you got a kind of last word for our public auditors?
Yes, so I had been talking about Secretariat, and I think it's very important that we have participation from the Black communities so that we have a policy unit at the City of Ottawa that really works to advance the causes of Black communities and of racialized people. And once again, it would focus on ensuring that we strengthen employment equity at the city, that we focus on improving representation on agencies and boards, and that we break down systemic barriers at the city and also create economic opportunities. So I want the community to know that tentatively we've set a date for a public consultation on August the 28th at 6 p.m. at the Rideau Community Hub on St. Laurent Boulevard. So we invite your audience, if they do want to get involved and help provide some input on how this secretariat at the city could be structured. We want to hear from you. So if you can come out on August 28th at 6 p.m. at the Rideau Community Hub, we're going to invite you to come to us and speak your mind on what you would like to see in terms of the future for racialized people, Black communities in the nation's capital.
That show, that big appointment, that show show you're going to be there, that for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I know that it's not the last time.
No, not at all. I'm very pleased that you invited me, and I'll happily return.
Yeah, sure. We're gonna keep contact with you, and very proud to have that first Black consular in City of Ottawa.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks.